Welcome to Muddy River News This Week. I'm Bob Gough. My guests today are Adams County Board Chairman Kent Snider and Adams County Sheriff Tony Grootens. Welcome.
Thank you.
We are here to talk about a new project that you gentlemen have undertaken, and that is a little more safety and security in our county schools.
Absolutely. It's time.
Tony, this is something, this isn't, your guys do great work, but they don't work for free. Are you going to expand, or are you just going to move guys?
No, we're going to have to expand.
Okay.
We'll add 3 positions in the next budget year, and that will give us one officer in every school in the county. Right now, we have 2. When I got here, we only had 1.
Mm-hmm.
But we created a position, and I put that guy out in Liberty, and so he's full-time out there.
Okay.
But we need to cover Minden, Camp Point. We already have one in Golden, and then Payson.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to cover these.
And, Kent, you and I have talked a little bit this week. This is something that, probably long overdue. But in light of just the way the world is today, it's unfortunate, but it's necessary.
It is unfortunate. And as I said at the meeting the other night, Tony and I have been working on this for pretty much all year. We were going to add 1 every year, and then I turned the TV on when I got to work, and we had the Georgia incident. And I called Tony and I said, this has got to stop. We need to do this immediately. And he was already on top of it. He saw the news too, and he knew. It was in his head the same as it hit me. 20 plus years ago, before county board, I was on the Buildings and Grounds Committee for Quincy Public Schools. And you remember when Columbine hit.
Oh, yeah.
And I was in that meeting the next morning with the school district trying to figure out what are we going to do. And we knew whatever we did, we had to do it now. And, out in the county, it seemed to be a little safer. But it can just happen anywhere, and we realize that, so we just have to take care of ourselves.
Sheriff, the schools, I assume, are receptive to this.
Oh, absolutely. They know it's been long overdue. The biggest thing in the county, and Kent may be right, it may be a little safer in the county, but all the kids in the county have guns, if you think about it.
Yeah.
And they go hunting and fishing and whatever. But our response time is not what it should be or could be,
sure,
like in the city of Quincy.
Mm-hmm.
They can be anywhere in the
Absolutely.
city within a minute or 2.
Yeah.
When I was in Jacksonville, it was the same way. But in the county, it's going to be 15 minutes for a response. So a lot of bad things can happen in that 15-minute period.
So, I assume those officers, the school will accommodate and give them a little space to work out of. And also, in case something else happens, they're also available. God forbid we had some other incident where you need to have all hands on deck. They could leave the school for a bit and say, hey, we've got another situation going on.
Absolutely. The biggest thing is the schools are involved. What I did, the last position that we filled in Liberty, I had the school superintendents come in and do the interview with Pat Frazier,
mm-hmm,
my chief deputy, to select an officer because they know their needs better than I know their needs.
Sure.
And you got to pick the right person for that position. And if you don't, it's going to be a disaster.
I know, and my wife being an educator here in Quincy and the dealings that she has, time to time, or just even running into on a regular basis when nothing's wrong, but with the school resource officers. And you are right, it's a certain personality. And they also have to work hand in hand with the Quincy school security people. And again, so when you talk about temperament, you talk about somebody that's, kids are kids. It's somebody but that's somebody that they have to be able to relate to the kids as well. And I think that's the experience that you've seen in Quincy. And I know they've had some great school resource officers here. So, and I assume, like you said, you've had one in Liberty for a year now?
Yes.
And that's gone very well, I assume.
Very well. Very well received. And I'm sure they will be well received in Minden and Payson and Camp Point.
And at all those schools, they're all one campus, right?
Yes.
For the most part.
For the most
you got to
part.
cross the highway at like Payson, I get it. But.
Well, and also, you're right across the highway. Minden, their elementary school is just a couple blocks towards town, so it's real close as well. They're going to be right there. And so if there wasn't, hopefully never, but if there was an incident, he's going to be available. If you look at the Georgia shooting, That was actually SRO, or school resource
Yeah.
officer, that responded to that.
Yeah.
And he took the guy in custody in 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Now think if it was 15 minutes,
Yeah.
what the body count would be then. And and Kent's the same way. We just don't want that.
Ken, we talked about earlier about how, you and the sheriff will work together on his budget, and, you and then Brett Austin, the finance committee, those guys, you'll all find the money to make this happen. Is this a case where you could go to our friends at the state and say, hey, we could use a little help here?
Well, fortunately, we have been talking to Jill Reese, ROE, and they are going to help, I think, with the vehicles.
With the vehicles.
Oh, great.
So that's a huge help. We can find money for the body if they
Oh,
can
yeah.
help with transportation.
Yeah, I guess I didn't even think about that. It's like you're not going to ask these guys to be driving their pickups out there. So, yeah, they've got to have
Correct.
vehicles and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah,
Yes.
and when I called Jill that night after our meeting, she was shocked. She just was so happy that we're doing this, long overdue. So with her help, or their help, we will make this happen. And there is money, and I hate to keep promising the money but the money we're bringing in from housing federal prisoners. Right now we've got 9. We're hoping to get up to 24. Even at 9, that's like $250,000 in our budget.
Yeah,
So
that goes a long way towards something like this.
take 100,000 of that.
Yeah. And again, but again, and the nice thing is that is something that when you're housing those federal prisoners, that's your responsibility.
Correct.
So it's the money that's coming in, and you should, I would think, have a say in hand with the county board, who I know has the power of the purse ultimately, to say, hey, we got this money coming in and we need this. So when Kent comes in his role as chairman to say, let's look at this, yeah, you kind of got a funding source there.
Yes. And Kent he's on top of the needs, believe me. He knows, he's been here a long time. I've only been here a couple years. I'm still learning a few things, but it's a big outfit to run too.
Yeah.
Jacksonville, I had 60 people, and here we got 120
Yeah.
plus. So it is a difference in size, and plus the jail.
Yeah.
Fortunately, it's a new jail, so we don't have the hurdles of getting
Right.
by state inspections.
Yeah.
But I think this is a wonderful program. And Kent's right there too. It should have happened a long time ago. It just didn't because of financing.
Sure. You guys were
because the schools can't fund it.
Yeah, and they were, and again, you guys were, putting in the new jail, and there's lots of stuff that you have done to help your department, that's helped the sheriff's department already. And again, I think and I know with one other issue is with the jail, you got the federal prisoners coming in, but you've got more room for them now because of the Safety Act and
Correct.
other things like that.
Correct.
So, well, again, I'm glad that you guys did this. This is again something that I wish there was a way we could not have to have this. I wish there was a way where there could be some stricter regulation guidance put in place. Don't get me wrong. I was shooting guns since I was 6-7 years old too, and we need to make sure that with proper training and safety. But again, it's a mental health issue.
It is a mental
And
health
that's
issue.
where it really needs to come into play as well.
Correct. And I was surprised, but pleasantly surprised, when in Georgia they charged the father.
Yeah.
He should have been held accountable.
Sure.
You know, he
14-year-old
should.
kid, you're darn right.
Yeah. And I'm not against kids shooting.
No.
Okay, but they have to be under the supervision of the parents
Yeah.
or a range instructor.
And they go through all the safety precautions.
Correct.
I shot BB guns at the Perry J.C. Hall when I was a
Yes.
kid to learn how to eventually shoot a 22 and then to go deer hunting and stuff. So yeah,
Correct.
that's you need to go through and I know there are programs around here, lots of guys, lots of very experienced, excellent people who handle guns, who train shooting, and they do a fantastic job. But again, that's all well and good, but when it comes down to a troubled kid, it doesn't matter, because sometimes a troubled kid, for whatever reason, has a bad day.
Yes.
And then everybody else has a bad day because he or she had a bad day. So when talking about mental health, perhaps you could go to our friend Jared and also get a little funding his way to kind of, make a little hand in hand there. So
Well, we do have the opioid money.
that's right.
Correct.
And it's there for the asking, and that pot's going to be over $1 million fairly quick.
And again, I mean, when the revenue's coming in, it's not like we're spending money willy-nilly on silly stuff.
No.
These are, I mean, you guys have come to this. This is a program that is needed. These kids need, we need security. We need to make sure that stuff that happens far too frequently in our country doesn't happen in Quincy and Adams County.
Correct.
Exactly right.
All right.
Your kids, your grandkids,
Yeah.
your family, your wife,
Yeah.
everyone in those buildings.
Yeah, she didn't want pack. I already asked her that. We've had this discussion. She's been teaching almost 30 years, so we've seen way too many of these. And every time we have one, I'm like, "You sure you don't want to go through some firearms training and get a little?" No. She's like I trust my school resource officer to protect me. So, well, gentlemen, again, kudos on this, and I want to thank you guys for stopping by. I'm glad we can let the public know this is going on.